Hey guys, it's Chris. From tombs of pharaohs to boxes that contain items of evil intent and more. Join me as I show you some containers that should never have been opened. Number 8. Curse of the Pharaoh. Egypt is known for many things in history, but in 1923, it became known for something else entirely. A curse. Specifically, the Curse of the Pharaoh, which was said to have been wrought up on the people who opened the tomb of King Tutankhamun. If you believe the stories, then you'll no doubt think that these people were killed as a punishment by the gods. After all, it is known in their mythology that it's wrong to cross a pharaoh. Impending on his burial grounds, which are very sacred in the culture, would indeed cross that line. In the decade after the opening of the tomb, which happened a year after it was found, which was 1922, 6 of the 23 people present died, and some in very weird ways, including blood poisoning and dying from a disease via a mosquito. Naturally, this sparked the Curse of the Pharaoh, which spread like wildfire throughout the world, and made some question opening new tombs that could have similar curses. Since then, though, level-headed people have dove into what caused these deaths, and some subsequent tomb-related ones, and found some interesting things. For example, there's no mention in Egyptian lore of such a curse. Warnings, yes, but no curses. Furthermore, there are some beliefs that it was ancient biological pathogens that got some of these people killed. And that would make sense, as they were preserved in the tomb and the bodies of these archaeologists would not have proper immunity for them. Finally, it was revealed that the idea of the curse actually was put forth by one of the heads of the expedition team in order to ward off tomb raiders. Despite this proof and logic, the curse still lives on, and some of the deaths haven't been fully explained, thus fueling the belief in the curse even more, which makes many wonder what would have happened if the container that was the tomb of Tutankhamun was never opened. Number 7. Casket in a storage locker. This is a very true story for the record, and it's one that is haunting as well as it is weird and cruel. The Hancocks had just recently lost a grandmother, and they decided to mourn her in their own way by putting her in a blue casket and putting it in a storage unit. The worst part, arguably, is that instead of putting her in there before moving her to a proper burial site, they left her there for 17 years. Eventually, as with some storage unit owners, they forgot to pay their monthly dues on the unit, which you'd think they wouldn't do as they'd done it for 17 years and their grandmother is in there, but for whatever reason they fell behind. Anyway, the storage unit place called them to let them know that if they didn't pay their bill, that the items in their unit would be put up for auction. The family warned them, however, that they couldn't do that because the grandmother's body was in there. Hello? That's super weird. Obviously, the storage unit place didn't know that, and thus action was taken. Fun fact, there are only 3 things in this world that can make you lose your rights to a storage unit. First is drugs, second is illegal firearms, and the third is a dead body. So the police came in and righted the situation. Well, we can't say that the police opened the casket. We would assume that they did because it's not illegal to store an empty casket in a storage locker. One must wonder what sight they saw when they opened it, and it likely wasn't pretty, and the police probably wish they hadn't. And now for number 6. But first, be sure to let me know which one on this list you think is the scariest, and be sure to subscribe to World List before you go. Number 6. Dark web packages. The internet is supposed to be a place where you can find information and items that can help you in life. But as in all things, there's a dark side, and in this case, there is a dark web. If you've watched TV or movies, you know that the dark web is for people who need anonymity in order to do or say certain things without fear of being watched from governments or people who clash with their views. Also, it's a place where buying and selling of illegal items can be done, which brings us to our mystery container for the day. A craze has been going on for a while where people will go and buy items on the dark web known as mystery containers, and then they'll receive them and open them up via a YouTube show, such as one done by YouTuber That Guy Aaron, who got one and found himself basically looking at a how to kidnap someone kit. We won't tell you the items that were in the box, but we will say that there was a note in the box that said you shouldn't buy boxes from strangers, good luck. Wise words indeed, and likely the wisest thing you're ever gonna hear from someone on the dark web. If you really want to live life on the edge, then I guess you could just get a mystery box on eBay or even Amazon if you're so inclined. Stay safe, people. I know it's hard to resist the call of a mystery box, but let's try and keep it together. Number 5, the Hope Diamond. When it comes to cursed objects, few are as famous as the legendary Hope Diamond. Specifically, this is a blue diamond measured to be 45 carats, and it's worth approximately $250 million. Yet if someone is asked to touch it, they promptly refuse, as just about everyone who comes into contact with the diamond either has great misfortune fall upon them or dies. This all started with the gem in its original setting, a temple in India. A Hindu priest stole the gem and was awarded with an agonizing death. Eventually, the gem was found and made its way to Europe. There it was bought by a French merchant who would eventually sell it to King Louis XIV. That merchant was later mauled to death by dogs. Both King Louis and his wife Marie Antoinette were later beheaded, and the gem was stolen during that period. It later passed on from person to person, including a potential encounter with a British king whose family had to sell the diamond to pay off his debts. Eventually, it wound up in the hands of a man named Henry Thomas Hope, which is where the diamond got its name. Several owners after him followed, and a similar tale of death and woe continued. There are many who don't believe in the curse, mainly those who have studied the history of it and feel the details of these deaths and misfortunes don't add up or have been exaggerated, or are a simple case of people blaming their woes on an object, which has happened many times in history. Some even blame journalists, who were the first to note the curse in the 1800s, which no doubt helped create the true legend of the Hope Diamond. Whatever you believe, the Hope Diamond is not cursing anyone anymore, as it was donated to the Smithsonian in 1958, where it remains to this day in a glass case. And should you not want to be next on the list of people the diamond has cursed with bad luck and fortune, you would be wise to never open this container and try to steal this oh-so-precious diamond. Number 4. A foot in a smoker. The year was 2007, and an auction was going on for a storage unit. A man named Shannon Wisnat won the auction and immediately went to scope out his purchase. To his delight, he found a meat smoker, which, if you don't know, can be a very valuable thing to the right person. Or he himself could have used it. Either way, it was a really good find. Naturally, he looked inside of it to make sure it was still in good condition. And inside this unique container was an amputated human leg. Not a fake one, not a replica, not a mold of one, a real amputated human leg in a meat smoker. As sad as it may sound, this is just the beginning of the story. You see, the previous owner of the storage unit was a man named John Wood. Wood was in a plane crash that resulted in him having a leg amputated. However, instead of getting rid of the leg, he put it in his storage unit to keep it safe so that when he died, he could be buried with it. At first, Wisnat did the right thing and gave it to a funeral home to take care of until Wood came to pass. But then Wisnat's story began to spread, and he decided to cash in on the act by charging $3 to view the meat smoker that had the leg in it. Raking in the money, he then decided to ask for the leg back so he could jack up his prices. Naturally and logically, the funeral home refused, so Wisnat went to Wood to try and get him to join on this and split the profits, but Wood wouldn't have it. The two feuded and actually went to TV court via Judge Greg Mathis to help settle the dispute. Wood won in the end, and the leg remained with him. Many people's minds and the belief of the human race likely would have been better off if said container was never opened. Number 3. Greg Lee Youngman's time capsule. One time, while demolition was being done for an old school, a time capsule was found. Specifically, it was a literal message in a bottle. The people who opened it were expecting a rather cute or poetic letter. They got nothing of the kind. Instead, they got the following: I am dead. I go to Montgomery School. This is the olden school name. I was born in 1900. You auto now I dead. My favorite subject is spooking the police. I play the guitar. In case you didn't know what that is, it's a board with strings on them. I'm 10 years old. See you later, savages. The letter was signed by Greg Lee Youngman, and yet no such person was ever found at said school or in the nearby area. Was it a simple prank or something more? No doubt the people who read the message wish they'd left it in the bottle. Number 2. Black granite sarcophagus. In 2018, a very curious kind of sarcophagus was found in Alexandria. What set this one apart was that unlike most burial sarcophaguses associated with Egypt, this one was pure black granite and had no markings on it that would indicate who or what was inside. It was also massive, with a 9 by 5 by 6 foot measurements, clearly making it one of the biggest sarcophaguses ever. Just as interesting, though, was that it was buried just 16 feet below the ground. A few weeks after the finding, archaeologists from Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities opened the sarcophagus, and they found 3 bodies inside, 1 male and 2 women. While this did answer one question, other questions arose. Was this some kind of punishment for the three? Why were they in a coffin of this type? Why were they covered in sewage? And what was the message being sent by putting it in with them? Research is going on to find the answers, but the sights and smells of this find might have been better left sealed up. Number 1. Bassano vase. This is the tale of a wedding gift, a vase given to a bride in northern Italy. The vase itself was made in the 15th century and was carved from pure silver, making it a very valuable gift for the bride. However, on the bride's wedding night, she died. And just before her death, she was found on the ground clutching the vase and promising to kill the person who took her life. The vase was then passed down through the bride's family, but every single one of them met their death under unusual circumstances. Eventually, the vase was buried so that it wouldn't take anyone else's life. And it remained that way until 1988 when it was rediscovered. Adding to its legend, there was apparently a parchment with the vase and it read, "Beware, this vase brings death." Ignoring the warning, the person who found it sold it to a pharmacist who then died 3 months later. That man's family sold it to a surgeon who also died, this time 2 months later and only at the age of 37. An archaeologist was next, and 3 months after he purchased the vase, a weird infection took his life. What happened to the vase after this is up for debate, but some feel it was buried once again. And many hope that this killer container is never unearthed again. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these items that were best left unopened or unfound? Do you believe in the powers and creepiness these items bring? Let me know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe to World List. I'll see you next time on the channel.